Your mama's a bum. Young lady,
Go ahead, say it. Go ahead and
No,
say
I'm
it.
a woman. I'm not a young lady. I am a woman.
First with your mama. No one, watch this, has ever called me.
Chester is unique.
Chester is a lost and forgotten kingdom.
Chester is potential.
Hi, I'm Kieran Warren. Chester is my home, and it has been for generations. I grew up in the Ruth L. Bennett Homes neighborhood with my mother, Reverend Bernice Warren, who taught me the values of a true Chester leader: respect, dignity, and most of all, truth. I'm running for Chester City Council to continue my mother's legacy and to restore our city's leadership to these values. The mayor's treatment of our residents at that meeting represents the horrible way City Hall has treated this city, our home. It's time to take out the trash. It's time to restore our parks and infrastructure. It's time to redevelop our waterfront for Chester residents, not incinerators or soccer stadiums. This November, vote for me, Kieran Warren, for Chester City Council.
Hi neighbors, I'd like to take this moment to formally introduce myself. My name is Connor Mulvaney. I'm a lifelong Pittsburgher, and for the past 3 years, I've lived in Brookline with my partner Christine and our dog Lucy. I've worked as a photojournalist, a collegiate cross-country coach, a retail specialist, a sustainability consultant, and am currently a union baker. I'm also active in mobility advocacy in Pittsburgh's southern neighborhoods, regional economic development nonprofits, as well as our local Green Party. And now, I am announcing my intent to run for Pittsburgh City Council. Why? Because I am alarmed that the systemic injustices in our city are only worsening. Because our rivers are still unsafe to swim in, our air is still unsafe to breathe. Because our mayor and city council members are advocating the defunding of critical public services during a pandemic and economic depression. Because the very design of our city creates barriers to necessities and services for those who don't own personal vehicles. That's 1 in 5 of all Pittsburghers. We can change our city for the better, but we must recognize the problems in Pittsburgh's past and present if we are to make a brighter future. Our city government is controlled by a single political party that has been dominant for nearly 90 years and has always been controlled by the wealthiest in our city. Unopposed candidates in general elections are frequent, and the acceptance of large campaign donations from big businesses and political insiders is rampant. This is not a healthy democracy. It's no wonder our city was ill-prepared to address the crises of injustice, public health, and climate change that we now face, when it is still led by an unethical political class that glides through election after election. But we can join together against these forces seeking to further divide us. We can make our city livable for all our neighbors, regardless of economic status, race, religion, sex, or gender identity. We can get there together.
Hey Green Party friends, this is Craig Cayetano. I'm running again this year for Hawthorne Town Council. This time it's not for just Ward 3, it's for the whole town at large. There are 7 candidates vying for 3 seats. We've been out and about in the town today at our classic car show outside our farmers market, so just wanted to report in, let you know that we are still working on local issues. We're able to reuse a lot of our materials from the last race, while we also raise some money to try to print up new lawn signs and new door hangers to hand out this fall. We have early voting this year starting on October 23rd through the 31st, and then of course we'll be out strong on election day. So the season has begun, So I hope that I can earn your support again as your green here in New Jersey. And if you have any questions, please check us out on Facebook at Cayetano for Council, also at Green for Hawthorne on Twitter, and Cayetano for Council on Instagram. We have a website with a big platform. Now we're up to 30 points on a platform for town council race. So we do bring real ideas, fresh ideas to the community. And I hope Greens out there see this, support us, donate whatever they can, and hopefully you'll have the drive to run for office in your town next year. Thanks again. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all of my fellow Greens, I am K.A. Hurd Jr., running for the 2021 Cincinnati City Council. I'm running to bring unity to our city. I'm running to bridge the divide between our neighborhoods, between our east and west. I am running to bring love and peace to our city. I will push for grassroots democracy to make sure that we are engaged. We notify our residents, our voters, our homeowners, our taxpayers about different projects, development, crime, and everything that is very important to their community. We have 52 communities right here in Cincinnati, and all of them matters to me. Here's our website. Our website is stayheardcommittee.weebly.com, where you can find so much about me. You can see how I stand on different issues. You can contribute and or you can volunteer. And also, if you know anybody else that may be in Cincinnati or would like to contribute, volunteer in any way, please feel free to share our website. Once again, it's stayheardcommittee.weebly.com. I am K.A. Hurd Jr., running for the 2021 Cincinnati City Council, where I am committed to making sure any and everybody that wants to be heard, and once heard, stay heard. And I approve that message.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Green Party of the United States Green Wave 2021. I'm Gloria Matera. I'm a former national co-chair of the Green Party of the United States and currently co-chair of the Green Party of New York. I've been a candidate myself a few times, volunteer for campaign, a staff member, and so I'm really delighted to be able to bring to you tonight 5 of the candidates that are running around the country as Green Party candidates. This Green Wave series is brought to you by the Green Party's Coordinated Campaign Committee, which is the committee that helps candidates, provides resources, gives our candidates some money, highlights them. And so you will see down on the screen on various times that you can actually donate directly at gp.org/CCC to give our candidates the resources that they need. So our first candidate for this evening that we're going to talk about and have some dialogue with is Connor Mulvaney, running for Pittsburgh City Council in District 4. Welcome, Connor.
Thanks, Gloria. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Great. So if you can maybe just start off by telling us a little bit about who you are, why you're running, why this race in particular.
Sure. So I think that first off, people in my age, I'm only 28 years old, but young people generally, I think, feel that we don't have any time to waste, right? I'm with the Green Party. I'm very concerned about climate change. I'm very concerned about ecological collapse. And I knew that my city council seat was coming up and thought, why not now? But in addition to that, 2020 was just so turbulent for so many different reasons. The pandemic, the marches all summer. Take your pick, which disaster needs addressed the most. But they're also important, and they're all interconnected, and that's something that's missing in Pittsburgh City Council, and I think in a lot of politics in America. So I would imagine that a lot of Greens across the country feel similarly. But the timing felt right for me personally. I've been doing some mobility advocacy in my own neighborhood ever since I moved here. What was it? I guess 3 or 4 years ago now. And that's a particular important issue in my district is the condition of the streets. We can't get a snowplow down here, no matter how much people cry every winter. And that's just the start of it. I mean, we have not seen investment from the city of Pittsburgh in pedestrian infrastructure, bicycle infrastructure. We can't get a chance down here. And that's really the main reason why I'm running is to give these southern neighborhoods in Pittsburgh a voice.
Great, that's nice. And have you ever run for office before, or were you doing some other activism with the Green Party or on other social justice issues?
Yeah, this is my first time running. I've been with the Green Party for over a year and a half at this point. I volunteered for the Bernie Sanders campaign in both 2020 and 2016. I was much more active in 2020, and the way that Bernie went out was a huge motivator to get involved in the local Green Party. I'd always been adjacent to the local Green Party through work that I did with nonprofits, trying to advocate for a different pathway away from petrochemicals for southwestern Pennsylvania. So I had crossed paths with some of these folks before, and I was feeling lost politically. I was feeling honestly a little depressed about just the political climate in the country, and threw myself into the Green Party and found a home, and haven't looked back since.
Mm-hmm. So what's energized you about the Green Party, and how is the campaign going right now? What are you focusing on?
Sure. So what energizes me about the Green Party? This is another one that'll be tough to pick. I think that the thing that excites me most about our local party is that we're offering solutions and approaches to solutions that are systemic, and it's different. I don't know if other places are like this. Pittsburgh is a little bit old school in its approach to problems, and partially because of finances since the collapse of the steel industry, partially because of the way things have always been done. The city is in general has kind of struggled to address things systemically, and the Green Party of Allegheny County has, I think, brought an important platform to the front, and they're just tireless organizers and advocates, and I hope to do right by them with my campaign. The campaign itself, it's gone better than I could have reasonably expected. We've raised past our initial fundraising goal, and we've just kept going because, unfortunately, in this country, no amount of money in a political campaign is ever going to be enough, especially when you're not being bankrolled by corporations or healthcare nonprofits or developers. The list could go on and on, especially if you're looking at who's donating to my opponent. But that's been extremely encouraging. Name recognition has been going up. We've been having a lot of positive conversations on the phone and on the doors. It's been really, really exciting. And I mentioned to you all before we got started, it's really for this campaign a matter of whether we can talk to enough people. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that's really, really exciting about the campaign.
Great. Well, yeah, it sounds like you've been hitting the streets, and I've been looking at your website and following some of your events and your social media. There's one thing that you mentioned that just I'd like other people to hear about it and for you to talk about it more. When you talked about in your issues, community first budgets, and you said that budgets should be moral documents that should reflect our shared values. I don't think I've ever heard about a city or a town or a state budget talked to in that way, but it sounds very connected to the Green Party principles. And can you talk more about that and what your idea is for that?
Yeah, those ideas, I think, came directly from the marches last summer, against police brutality, against just so many systemic issues. Pittsburgh had some really great marches organized by a group called Black, Young, and Educated primarily. They were called Civil Saturdays, and I went to a lot of them and listened to the things that all sorts of activists
sort of came from around the city to talk about different issues. And that group, among others, invited public officials from the city of Pittsburgh to join them and talk about these things. And there were 10 empty chairs, one for each council person and the mayor, and they were all empty outside of Pittsburgh City Hall. And that's where community first budgeting comes from. I, to my knowledge, in my lifetime, haven't seen any sort of organizing like that in the city of Pittsburgh. It's unprecedented, the level of engagement that people want to have with our local government. And unfortunately, it's not being reciprocated. And that was a huge motivator for me running. One of the sort of final straws before I decided, this is it, I have to go for this, was my opponent was getting a meeting started at Pittsburgh City Council meeting where we were talking about the 2021 budget. And everybody knew that everybody was going to come and talk about defunding the police. And I think it was a hot mic moment, or maybe he's really, really brave. I'm not sure. But he said, "What's the bad news?" And if I'm a political figure, I would get excited if people want to be engaged, because we need more of it, especially right now. And people in city council right now, the mayor, just aren't interested in talking to constituents in that way. And that's what I want. And that's what I want to bring to Pittsburgh City Council.
It's a great story. And it sounds like you really connected to that movement, which was, I think, really important, and what Green Party candidates really try and do. Are there other issues you want to highlight for people to hear about, and something particular about your campaign as we start to wind down?
Sure. Housing is a particular concern. I think a lot of cities across the country are especially concerned about it. And it's something that we've tried to engage on heavily, is ensuring that everyone in Pittsburgh has a place to call home. The city of Pittsburgh has strung people along with assistance and eviction moratoriums. And, it goes back to what I said earlier. This is a Band-Aid for a problem that, maybe needs surgery, I guess. It's a problem across the country. Pittsburgh, I think, can be a model. We just need a little bit of political will to make some structural changes. As far as the campaign goes, if you're listening across the country right now, wherever you are, you can help us by phone banking. Our next one is coming up on October 5th at 5:30. If you go to our website and click on the volunteer tab, you can find more information about how to get involved. But what I said before is absolutely true. Whether we win or not is really just a matter of if we can talk to everyone in the district and get them out to vote. We need as much help as we can get. It wouldn't hurt to get a few extra hands, and we would really love to have everybody's help.
That's terrific. Do you want to give any of your social media links or anything else to the people listening?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. My name is just at Connor Mulvaney. On Facebook, we are Connor4PGH. Our website is www.connor4pgh.com. And we're on Instagram at Connor4Council.
Terrific. Well, we wish you a lot of luck, and you're definitely selected as one of the Green Party's candidates to watch. And so we hope that this opportunity to talk to Greens and Green supporters will bring you some resources, donations, and some volunteers.
We appreciate it, Gloria. We thank you for the support and for doing this tonight, and thanks for everybody listening across the country.
Thanks, Connor. So coming up next, we're going to be talking to two candidates for City Council in Cincinnati. Just reminding people again that this is the Green Party National Coordinated Campaign Committee sponsored Green Wave 2021, where you are going to hear about the candidates that we have decided to highlight this year, although there are many candidates running around the country, and we really encourage you to go to gp.org/run. See if you're interested in running for an office, that would be great. If you want to volunteer to help our candidates out there, please do that. And also always check with your state Green Party for the local candidates running there. So coming up, we have K.A. Hurd Jr. and Logan. Oh, here it's hi, K.A. and Logan Simmering. Welcome, both of you. Hi there. So this is different because you're both running for city council seats in Cincinnati. So it'd be really helpful if you kind of explained to everyone how many seats there are and how that's working. Kay, why don't you start, and Logan then kind of chime in on that.
Yeah, so I'm K. Hurd Jr., running for the 2021 Cincinnati City Council as Green representative, and endorsed by the Hamilton County Green Party and also the Ohio Green Party. So it's an at-large race, 9 seats available. So the top 9 vote getters get a seat. We don't have no wards, no districts as far as voting wise. But yeah, the top 9 vote getters get a seat.
Yeah, and even more significantly this year, a third of the existing sitting council was indicted last year. So we have only 1 elected councilor from the last round who's running for re-election, and then 4 appointed councilors who are running. So it's a big year for kind of wild card campaigns.
Wow, that is something. But, we want to say shocking, but not surprising as we hear about these things around the country when the parties of war on Wall Street are taking over and running our cities. So that with the two of you both in this race, have you done any work together? Do you connect with each other's campaigns? We know that Greens will often, in terms of ranked choice voting or proportional representation, be working together.
In the beginning, we definitely worked together a lot. We collected signatures together quite a few times. We campaigned at different events together, especially at little festivals and things like that. We can definitely get together a little bit more, but we have had our times that we cross paths, and it's always a great time being with Logan, regardless if it's at the Board of Elections or out on the street somewhere, whatever the case may be. So,
we've been supporting each other. We haven't necessarily been coordinating closely as we probably should have, but been out there together quite a bit.
Great. And Logan, before we started the show, we talked a little bit about what it was like in the city council before in Cincinnati. So maybe you would tell us a little bit about that. As you know, Greens often are promoting more proportional representation in elections, more representation of different parties and different constituencies.
So Cincinnati actually was a pioneer of proportional representation back in the 1920s. Before that, the city was run basically out of a bar in one of the neighborhoods by a boss. There was a big charter reform in the 20s, which formed Cincinnati's actually third party, the charter rights. The Greens are our fourth party. And that led to a proportional system, which was at large, and sort of people would rank who they wanted to be in the top 9. And that worked well for several decades, but it was done away with. For first past the post on the top 9. It would definitely be nice to get back to that, or another system sort of derived from that, but we'll see where we can go from there. There's a lot of things we want to change with the charter.
Great. Well, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your campaign, specifically your issues and what you're focusing on, and then we can hear from KA about that.
Yeah, so I'm focusing a lot on trying to devolve power away from City Hall, kind of work myself out of a job, put it into our formalize our relationships. We have community councils that are sort of nonprofits the city helps, recognizes as representations of the city and gives a little money to. I like to formalize that relationship a little more, give a lot more power to them to help develop the budget, help control how the police operate, control how development happens in the city, things like that. Beyond that, I want to focus a lot on improving affordable housing. A lot of ideas in that area. Getting to see, much more ecologically sound. I'd like to see it carbon neutral by 2035 at the latest, before we all boil to death. And then, to that end, improve public transit and urban agriculture and a lot of other things. I have a pretty extensive platform if you want to check out my website and my social media.
Yes, you mentioned participatory democracy in a way and supporting workers' co-ops. And is that something you see that could be done
Yep,
on the local level in Cincinnati?
absolutely. We have a very good nonprofit involved in cooperatives now, Co-op Cincy. I'd like to see the city support them a lot more by establishing a right to purchase for workers in businesses that are shutting down in various ways, and establishing a office of cooperative development, and ideally having a public bank which can provide favorable rates to cooperatives for financing, among other things.
Great. That sounds terrific. And so let's go over to KA and hear a little bit about the issues in your campaign, how that's going for you. What are you focusing on?
Oh yeah, so I mean, of course, about everything that's going on within Cincinnati, we definitely got to clean up the corruption. We don't want to add up. We don't want to add to it. So we want to make sure that we get to the grassroots of it. We want to make sure that we don't take the PAC funds or the corporations or whatever the case may be. We want to make sure that we are actually getting into our communities. I want to make sure that we are inside our community councils. Make sure we are empowering them. Make sure we give them the resources that we need. We have 52 communities in Cincinnati, and only 9 people represent them. And sometimes, most times, not all of them get represented. But my job is, or my main focus is, everyone, every last one of them get represented by being elected. Also, there's some community councils that's not existent within the 52. I believe maybe like 5 or 6 of them, which we need to get off the ground, because there's funds that our city holds. If they don't have a community council to give it to, it's called NSP funds. They just keep it. They keep it. Then all of a sudden we have this brand new development nobody wanted inside our city, and it's only going to one part of our city when we have a whole 52 neighborhoods, and we can't just sponsor a project in just one community when we all can benefit from it. Like we have a streetcar that's just go downtown. It just go on one street, over one street, come down one street, and that's it. It's ridiculous. Like we need this. I mean, it's a great idea because I feel like it'll help our environment for as long as we're not using fossil fuels. But like for as transportation get to one one community to another. But yeah, that's my main thing is our community councils. Make sure that we get better public safety for as our police and fire. I feel like they've been doing a pretty good job, but we can always get better, especially what's going around town, and then our safe infrastructure. We need to be future focused. Make sure that we keep our streets clean. Make sure we have transportation to every neighborhood. Our neighborhoods need to be interconnected, regardless if it's with bike lanes or walking trails, whatever the case may be. Our city needs to be accessible to all.
Thank you, Kay. Did you want to jump in on there, Logan? Were you about to
Yeah, I
say
just want to say we had a fantastic plan for the streetcar that the state and our current mayor basically shut down. They fought development of it all the way. There's a fantastic potential for light rail in the city, and we can definitely bring it back.
Yeah. Was that something that either one of you were involved in, or organizations that you knew of, or the Green Party?
That was before my time. And actually, our local Green Party opposed the streetcar.
Okay.
Right.
Great. So how has it been campaigning? It's obviously been a challenge with the pandemic. Are you either able to go out in the street and meet people? Are you finding new ways to campaign? To touch voters that might be different than how we may have campaigned a couple of years ago? Do you want to start out, Kay?
Yeah. So the main thing is that I believe we both can agree that we want to do this. We want to do this for our city. So regardless of what we got to go through or whatever we have to do, we'll do it. Just like when we get in office, we're going to do anything and everything that we need to do for our citizens, for our family, I should say, because that's who I'm serving for. I'm serving for each and every individual within Cincinnati. And yes, it was challenges or whatever the case may be, but it's going to be challenges with anything. So we fought through it. We fought through the COVID things. Make sure we masked up, wear gloves, or whatever the case may be that we needed to do to get our signatures. And we out here campaigning, knocking on doors, and everything that we need to do to the best of our ability, with or without the problems. There's something else got thrown in our way. I believe both of us will be able to get through it to the best of our ability.
Thanks. Yes. And Logan, did you want to add to that? What it's been like
Yeah.
actually campaigning for you?
Yeah. Personally, I pushed back even starting my campaign a lot partially because of COVID, among other reasons. So that was presented a bit of a challenge getting a late start. But since this spring, everybody's kind of incorrectly decided the pandemic's over. So getting out to meet people isn't that difficult, other than I'm an iron worker, so my job takes a lot out of me. So it's a little hard to muster the energy to canvas as much as I really ought to be, but I'm getting out there.
And as we
labor endorsements at least.
Right. Yes, I was going to say. So as we wind down, first, Logan, if there's something you'd like to highlight about your campaign, and it sounds like as an iron worker, as a union worker, you did get support from your unions, which is great. That's always important when you're able to get some labor support.
Yeah, that's been very, very crucial. Just getting support from especially my local, but also the other building trades unions have been supporting me.
Terrific.
Really helped financially.
Yeah. Is there something you'd like to kind of end with about your campaign in terms of your website or a particular issue or highlight something that's coming up? Okay. Let's have Logan, then we'll switch over to you. This way, we get our sound in order.
Everybody check out my website, simmeringforcincinnati.com, and on social media, on Facebook and Twitter, LPCS at LPCS43C. And everybody who's outside of Cincinnati, can always use more money to help get things done. Anybody's in Cincinnati, watch the Facebook. We'll have a steady stream of events coming up in the near future.
Great. Thank you. And so KA, give us some information about your campaign, maybe something you want to highlight. And I just have to say, like your slogan, I keep track of the campaign slogans, stay heard. I love it.
Oh yeah, once heard, stay heard. Hey, it's very important. A lot of people don't feel like they heard, and that's changing. That is changing, especially we get elected, whatever the case may be, we're going to make sure that any and everybody is being heard, regardless of your race, regardless of your income, regardless of your religion, whatever the case may be. You're going to be heard regardless. But yeah, you can check me out, Stay Heard, stayheardcommittee.weebly.com. You can check me out on the website, or even follow me on Twitter. If you haven't followed me already, it's KAHEARD JR. K.A. Heard Jr. That's my Twitter. And then you can just hit me up on that if you need any more links to anything else. Please feel free to reach out. I try to be responsive as possible. Sometimes, I'm a little late because I'm doing some things, but hey, you are important, just like anything else. And I will reach right back out to you. Shout out to everybody that's following me, that has reached out to me and everything. I really do appreciate all the love, and people not even in Cincinnati have donated. I appreciate that. If y'all know people that's in Cincinnati that can volunteer, let me know, or send them to the website, or if you know any, or if you haven't donated yet, if you want to, please feel free. I will give you all the information. The best way to contact me is either through my email, stayheard@gmail.com, or Facebook, K.A. Heard Jr. I mean, not Facebook, I'm sorry, Twitter. But yeah, I mean, that same thing, Facebook, whatever you feel free. Reach out to me. We can speak on issues or whatever the case may be. I appreciate the Green Party. This is my first time being at Green. This is my first time running. Like, it's been amazing process so far. But we got so much more to do, even beyond this campaign. And Green all day. Vote Green. Vote Heard. Vote Simmering. Hey, We're gonna do this, y'all. We're gonna do this.
Thank you so much. We are talking to K.A. Hurd Jr. and Logan Simmering, both running for at-large city. Cincinnati. Wish you both good luck, and everyone check out their websites to donate and support their campaign. Great. So, and you've already heard some of our candidates refer to, of course, needing donations, and that they don't take any corporate money. They're not part of any PACs. So it's important to know that no Green Party candidate takes any corporate money. We believe in raising our money for campaigns from ordinary people like us, working people, students, seniors, teachers, social workers, iron workers. And so we really need you listening out there to support our candidates. Coming up next is a candidate in my hometown in New York City, Edwin DeJesus, who's running for city council in District 22 in Astoria, Queens. So we want to welcome Edwin. Hi, Edwin. And we see Logan is still there, but thanks, Logan, for coming by. And Edwin, welcome.
Hey, Gloria, thanks for having me.
Yeah, terrific. So start off by, telling everyone a little bit about who you are, what your race is about, why this race, why are you running?
Yeah, so my name's Edwin DeJesus. I'm a lifelong resident of Astoria, Queens. I was a former national advance for the Bernie Sanders 2020 campaign. When that came crashing down, partially due to the coronavirus and partially due to the trickery played by the DNC, I realized that I needed to make change in my local community. I've been seeing a lot of change, but it's been negative change. A lot of the local mom and pop shops have been going out of business due to the greed of large corporations like Amazon. Gentrification is a huge problem in Astoria. Even before the pandemic, a lot of stores were closed down, but obviously COVID-19 has accelerated all of these issues. And so I wanted to run outside of the duopoly because I feel that Queens, the epicenter of the COVID pandemic in April of 2020, has been through a lot of suffering, not just because of a virus, but because of the failure of the two-party system of corporate politicians who would rather put profits over people. And that's why I decided that I would take the liberty to run as a Green candidate after voting for Howie Hawkins in 2020 and wanting to carry the torch of Bernie's progressive movement after there has clearly become some sort of leadership vacuum on the left.
And thank you, Edwin. Can you tell us a little bit about your district? This is actually a district that has had Green Party candidates run before. Tell us a little bit about Astoria. And I know, I'm not sure in your district, but I think people heard even nationally that the borough of Queens and some areas in general was really devastated by kind of the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. And is there any focus there that you're looking at in your campaign around resiliency and sustainability?
Yeah, we simply need to raise our infrastructure around the shorelines. I actually live pretty close to a shoreline, and my building was flooded very badly up to waist level. All of my ground floor neighbors were flooded, including my super, who has no renter's insurance. He lost everything, $20,000 worth of personal belongings. So what we did was we set up a GoFundMe for him and his wife, and we were able to raise over $3,500. Obviously, that's not enough, but it was the least that we could do. And we want to make sure that every single resident in Astoria has access to those kinds of mutual aid on the ground. And you are right. Lynn Serpy ran as a Green a few years ago and got over 14% of the vote. Astorians actually do like the Green Party. The Greens are viable here in Astoria. We are going to be the first Green candidate to actually win a New York City Council seat because of the people of Queens.
Great, thank you. And I'm really, it's heartbreaking. I'm so sorry to hear about the people in your building. I didn't realize that came as close as home for you. That during that storm. Can you tell us maybe some of the other issues you might be running on? How is the campaign going? Any highlighted events that you think would be important for us to know?
Yeah, so I was the lead organizer for the New York City March for Medicare for All. As you know, you were one of our speakers. It was an excellent event. We had Chris Smalls, the Amazon warehouse whistleblower, as our MC, Susan Sarandon as our keynote speaker. Medicare for All and healthcare as a human right has always been one of my core policies. Now, on a city level, obviously, we can't have Medicare for all, but what we can do is fund New York City Care, which can guarantee New Yorkers who are either uninsured or underinsured free healthcare at the point of service. So what I'm saying is what we need to do is take money from the billionaires who exploited workers during this pandemic and amassed over $1 trillion in wealth, take that money and give it to the people in the form of guaranteed healthcare. Because when everybody has healthcare as a human right, we become a much safer society, and that is the best public health policy.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. And as a healthcare worker in the city, I can agree with that. So actually, there's something that you have. I brought up before with KA, because I'm always interested in how candidates come up with slogans and what they need. So tell me a little bit about keep bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll at 350.
Yeah, so the bacon, egg, and cheese is the quintessential New York staple. It's a basket item, as you would refer to in economics. Your local New Yorker might go to the bodega and ask for bacon, egg, and cheese, and they typically expect to pay $3, $3.50 at most. But food prices are skyrocketing along with rent. And if you look at a neighborhood like Williamsburg, for example, a bacon, egg, and cheese can cost you up to $5. This is a class-conscious message that actually resonates with the most vulnerable New Yorkers. And I think it's very important that we prevent gentrification by guaranteeing rent stabilization for all small businesses, so that when a small business's lease goes up at the end of when their lease is over, that it can only be increased by a certain amount, so that they don't get priced out and we have TJ Maxx and Target and Amazon taking over our communities.
Thank you. Great. That's great. I just love the slogan. And of course, I'm very fond of bacon, cheese on a roll myself. So yes, isn't that right? So what other issues are you looking at? Like what's been the campaign like on the ground? What's the experience you've had being out there? I know you're out. It is challenging to be out on the streets, but it seems like your campaign is doing some real street work right now.
Yep. Currently, we are out every day talking to voters on the ground. They love our messaging. The other slogan that we like to say to people is, hey, we're not a Democrat, not a Republican, a New Yorker. It's that message of unity that we're really trying to promote, because we are more divided now than ever before. And that is part of the agenda of the ruling class, is to divide and conquer us. They want to spread misinformation so that we can be angry and hateful at each other. They want us to be fighting each other so that we're distracted from the fact that corporate greed is the source of our suffering. And so that's one of the messages that I'm really trying my best to get out there on the ground. And in terms of other things that we're fighting for, one of the big things that I'm about is ending the war on drugs. Did you know that 1 in 4 prisoners in the world exist in American prisons? And a lot of that has to do with the war on drugs, which is a gigantic scam, as we know. Marijuana, which has been legalized in New York, during the pandemic has been deemed an essential business, selling marijuana. And yet there are still people, predominantly Black and brown, who are locked up in prison today for marijuana. But it's not just marijuana, it's all drugs. We need to decriminalize all drugs, especially drugs like psilocybin, which have been known to have therapeutic ramifications and have been beneficial for mental health. NYU has done a ton of research on psilocybin, and their case studies have shown that it can cure or nearly cure depression, PTSD, trauma, anxiety, stress. These are all very relevant today because we are in a mental health crisis where 1 in 10 Americans have seriously contemplated suicide during the course of this pandemic. Yeah, thank you. That's so true. And it's, they're really important issues. They're issues that we don't hear about, from the Democrats who, certainly in New York City really dominate in the city council. And so having you as a city council candidate, and we hope in the city council one day, would really make a big change. What would you like people to know about how to contact you? What's important about your campaign now? Tell us how to find you. Yeah, and that's an excellent point you bring up. That we are very democratically controlled, and what we need to do is have ranked choice voting in general elections. This year's primary was the first election where we had ranked choice voting, but guess what? It was only in closed primaries, which predominantly benefit the Democrats. If we really want to have proportional representation and equality in our democracy, we need to start by having ranked choice voting for all candidates, not just in closed primaries and special elections. So if you want to learn more about our campaign, you can go to our website, which is at the bottom of your screen, edwinfornyc.com. There's a big yellow donate button there. If you know anybody in New York who wants to donate $5, good news. there's a public funds matching system in New York City. So for every dollar that you contribute, it gets matched 8 to 1. So if you donate $1, that actually becomes $9. $10 becomes $90. $100, $900. This is how we can have a grassroots movement. This is how we can have a revolution outside of the two-party corporate duopoly.
Great. Thank you, Edwin. And congratulations on, making the criteria to be eligible for the New York City Campaign Finance Funds. We want to be able to say that it gives the opportunity to grassroots local candidates to be able to run for office. But we do know that when they say it levels the playing field, that is not true, because there are lots of corporate loopholes. Democrats and Republicans are amassing huge amount of special interest and corporate money. But you sound like you have a really vibrant campaign, and I will see you in the streets of Queens someday soon.
Thank you, Gloria.
Take care. Great. And the next candidate and the last one for this evening is Craig Cayetano, who's running for the Hawthorne, that's in New Jersey, Town Council and at-large seat. And so we want to welcome Craig. Hi, Craig.
Hey, Gloria. How are you? Good to see you.
Great. It's great to see you again. And you've been a candidate before. So why don't you tell us first maybe a little bit about who you are, what your campaign is like now, and just curious to know what are the differences or similarities as being a second-time candidate, and is it in the same area?
Thanks a lot, and it's great to be here. So first and foremost, my name is Craig Cayetano. I've been involved with the Green Party since 2016. I was politically active growing up, and came from a lower, income household. So going through high school, I was always kind of involved in movements, building even back then. I had knocked on doors for Ralph Nader in 2000. We all kind of, go to sleep for a little bit. So I came back around to politics in 2015, was helping with Sanders' campaign. And then once that ended, I already had some friends that were involved with the Green Party. So I knew I wanted to move over and dedicate my time and effort and energy to honestly help us build an alternative. So got involved with the party, worked on a bunch of campaigns in New Jersey here. And honestly, it was growing. We've been doing well here in New Jersey. So I had eventually decided to get involved more in my town. And our towns have environmental commissions. Some in New Jersey have green teams, which are offshoots attached to the environmental commissions. And there's some work you can do there. There's some issues you can bring up, but there's only so much you can do in that capacity, in that space. And obviously, as we, as Greens and allies watching this, realize the environmental impacts are going to start taking notice, and there's communities that might not have ever been affected that are going to start to see themselves affected. And that was the reason why I decided to step up and run for town council. There was discussions about like simple things like, charging stations, little things like that that can help small businesses. And that's where I wanted to kind of take the Green Party platform and apply it to local and community-based economics and situations. So it's trying to find ways to foster more of a community focus, build small business, trying to work on, obviously a sustainable plan. And even this year, well, the race last time was for Ward 3, which was one of our 4 wards. And that kind of gave the momentum. Because in small town politics, especially in North Jersey, even West Jersey, I don't think people are aware that a lot of the campaigns that run are basically relatives of somebody, or they were a coach. It's all kind of like who you know. It's like old school, old guard. So this is a great race and a great town, and I felt that I can personally get involved and bring some change forward. So the ward race was really the momentum to get to here. We are with the at-large race. So this year we have 3 council seats up for grabs. The incumbents are Republicans. The majority of the town is Republican controlled. So one is moving up to run for mayor. So there's a vacancy there. And then the 2 incumbents are running. And one of them even was quoted that he only ran because he didn't want to leave a vacuum of power. So, and then of course the town committee's chair's daughter is now propped into the other seat. So you just see how the machinations work. By running on real issues and running hard and being door to door with community in the 2019 race, basically let people know that there's another approach. We offer a different perspective. So our platform was supported by everybody. It's not just about unaffiliated, but it's also was approached by Republicans and Democrats. And this year has been great so far. I've had a really good response going door to door. We did have to run last year as a special election because regretfully the incumbent that won the ward race passed away. So we held a special election, and that's different, campaigning during COVID. So we had to think outside the box, get creative. And one of the great events I came up with, because I love to have fun events and make this fun, process fun and inclusive, was I met the ice cream truck guy and I said, hey, would you mind if I put some campaign stuff on your truck and go around and give out ice cream? And we worked out a thing. And yeah, so Howie Hawkins came down. He was running for president, and Malin Hoffman came over. She was running obviously for Senate. So we had a blast. And where are you going to see a candidate? You're going to see a Democrat, Republican think outside the box, go out and hop in an ice cream truck. When are you going to see your presidential candidate come down and hang out and just go out and meet people like that? So that's where the Green Party has the ability to approach people differently. Our platform is stellar, and it's really just trying to take it to a local aspect.
It's great. I mean, you've done some really great campaign events, both in your first campaign and this one. Lots of social media and lots of coverage, which is great. And I'm glad you mentioned the platform. Really, in your website, you really take the 4 pillars of the Green Party. So that's something that we subscribe to nationally, right? We all know it, but you really break it down and say, like, well, what does that mean? What does grassroots democracy mean on the local level? What does environmental wisdom mean on the local level? And, I think that that's a great lesson for candidates and a great way to show that the Green Party has this very big picture focus and plan, but also can be done locally. I don't know if there's anything else that you've kind of connected with Green Party principles that you're promoting locally in your race.
Thank you. And this year's a little different too. As I mentioned, that the environmental impacts are going to come home to all of us. In Hawthorne alone, we've had a lot of storms this year, and we have flooding. And now flooding is a major issue. And I don't think people thought about it before. Maybe there's that one flood once a year, but we've already had like 3 floods this year. And when you start connecting the dots, it makes sense. There's some projects that had been greenlit to build locally, and I had come out and I said I want to preserve open spaces and green spaces, but obviously they're going to roll them through, and that's where it really is important when we say we don't take any PAC money. I even go out and say no developer money, and I have no ties to the developer industry, but a lot of these committees in town are also kind of entrenched with the same old people that have been in there for 5 years, 10 years. So it seems like they're trying to push a certain agenda through and build where they can. They try to say that they're offering affordable housing. They're really not offering affordable housing because they're not hitting the mandate, and they're making deals because I guess if you decide to do certain things with making them rentals, you get different credits back. So it's a different topic. And we had the census this year, and the results came back, and we're up 4.5% in population, and now we're almost at 20,000. And Hispanic and Latino population is 23.8%, and Black and African is 5.9%. So I want to see this community move forward. I want us to plan ahead if there is a major disaster that comes through. I don't want to have residents stranded for 3-4 days waiting to try to get out of the development they're putting up at the end in the middle of a flood zone. So a lot of the platform has obviously been consistent. The message is consistent. I run on that. It's a consistent thing in me. So it's just taking that and tying the two together, and I was just having a conversation on social media the other day with somebody, and, they didn't understand the fact that the flooding, you can have like rain gardens and things like that, and that can all tie in and help avoid some of the flooding and divert some of the flooding that we have. So that's another obviously key issue. During the last storm when Ida passed through, we have well water, but our well water got contaminated with E. coli in a couple wells. So that raised alarms. So the questions that were posed on social media were basically ignored by the councilmen. I was at a green fair out, and they didn't want to address the social media stuff. They're really trying to ignore it. And then I put out an article because that's what I am. I'm not going to sit around. I'm going to literally put everybody on notice, let people be aware, let them read and see what's going on, because people need to be in the know. And I don't think that they communicated the situation properly at the time. They did finally come out with a timeline at the last council meeting I attended. So they did say, well, if it did go another day or two, we would do a reverse 911. We would have considered other things. And I said, well, let's plan ahead now. You have to think outside the box, because that could be the next disaster next week. It could be a year from now, but let's not just, react to it. Let's really take focus on it.
Yeah, I have to say, Craig, you're the vibrancy and the depth of your campaign, your platform, your plans, for Hawthorne, I think, really are a testament to the green values, and I think sounds like they're really reaching a lot of people. In fact, I noticed your endorsements are quite impressive, from Democratic Party candidates to the young eco-socialists of our very own Green Party to other activists. And so how have you been able to build this kind of wide coalition of support?
So as I said, the Ward 3 race was really like the precursor to all this. So yes, the work speaks for itself. And, just as, a regular everyday person concerned, when you show up, you make relations, you build inroads, you're building those coalitions. Obviously, when time comes and you're going to run for office, you can ask, hey, would you consider endorsing? So it really does speak volumes when you actually show up, attend events, do what you can, and get out in the community. In terms of endorsements, I was proud to get last year the Sunrise Montclair Hub had endorsed, which was nice because it's the members. When you get down to that level, it's the individual members that know, they get it. And even this year, I just received the New Jersey League of Conservation Voters endorsement, which is the first for a green candidate in New Jersey. I have other endorsements I've submitted. I'm waiting to hear back, and I'm hoping that those can break through ceilings, because these are orgs in New Jersey that would have never that haven't considered greens or basically ignored us in the past. Now, we're not going to take money from them, but it's still seeing that endorsement. That gives us more leverage when we go to campaign and we go door to door. Because when you actually have to knock on the Democrats' door, you can say, hey, look, I'm in this, I'm campaigning, this is what I bring to the table, this is endorsements I've earned. They're like, oh, wow, okay. And obviously, transversely with anybody who you speak to, it does make an impact. And this town is a great community. I love it. I hope to eventually have a family to raise here, but right now it's my community. I'm going to give the energy I can and do what I can to try to bring some of these things forward. And as a councilman, you can bring resolutions ahead. There's clean energy initiatives around New Jersey that a lot of environmental orgs are pushing. As a councilman, I can bring that forward. I can bring forward a resolution to support ranked choice voting. Little things like, we support Medicare for all. Those are the things that you can do on local levels that really impact. So it actually will overall help the whole cause.
Thanks. I think I speak for others to say, can really hear the dedication and the love you have for your community and what you're putting into that. And so as we're wrapping up, what do you want people to know? How can they reach you? Any particular events coming up you want to share?
Yeah, of course. So you can always check us out. We have a full website, Cayetano4council.com, which is on the bottom here. And also Cayetano4council is our Facebook and Instagram. And on Twitter, we're green4 Hawthorne. We want to hold another event, like a big fun event. And we need a little bit more donations. So if any of the Greens allies across the country see this, $5, $7, $10, anything will help us pull this off. There's still some people I've talked to in town that are kind of hesitant, obviously because of COVID. So, if I can bring the ice cream truck to them again, I'd love to. Just little stuff like that. I try to find fun ways. We have early voting this year in New Jersey. It's the first time ever. Of course, there's nothing in Hawthorne for early voting, so that'll be something I have to write about. But yeah, we're left off there. So now I'm going to offer rides to anybody that wants to do early voting. So I'm just trying to think of other little things along the way, but. It's great to be here. It's great to speak, and meet all the other candidates too. I can't wait, and I hope we all bring home victories this fall.
Great. Thank you so much, Craig, and best of luck in your campaign.
Thank you. So
tonight, you've had the opportunity to hear from 5 amazing Green Party candidates that the Coordinated Campaign Committee of the National Green Party have selected to highlight and give some resources to. Actually, coming up on October 6th, you will hear from some more candidates brought to you by the Coordinated Campaign Committee on the second Green Wave, our Green Wave for October. We'd like to remind everyone that if you're not getting regular correspondence and emails from the Green Party, please sign up at gp.org. If you want to help out the candidates so we can fund more candidates and do more events, you can go to gp.org/ccc, donate directly to that. The Coordinated Campaign Committee not only puts on events like this, but they do regular webinars. They offer information about how to run for office. We hope that listening to these candidates will encourage you to run for office in 2022. So you can contact our Coordinated Campaign Committee for that. Remember that these candidates are working locally, taking the Green Party principles and turning them into real local plans to help their communities. And so remember, when the Democrats and the Republicans are pushing poison pill bills, kind of like, Voter Choice Act, it's not really about the choice that you want to vote for. It's to keep the Green Party presidential candidates where we depend on that election campaign funds for matching funds to be able to run presidential campaigns, gubernatorial campaigns that keep our ballot lines. People know that this was a particularly challenging year, 2020 and now 2021, where between voter suppression, changing election rules, changing ballot access, going to court and throwing Green Party candidates off the ballot, that is a way of stopping these wonderful local candidates to challenge the status quo, to challenge the party's war on Wall Street right in your neighborhood. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. I want to thank the Coordinated Campaign Committee for all their work. I want to thank the Media Committee of the Green Party of the United States. And I want to thank the producer of this event, our communications manager, Michael O'Neill. So stay safe, everyone. Check out the Green Party and stay strong in the struggle. Good night.
Your mama's a bum. Young lady, correct.
No, I'm a woman. I'm not a young lady. I am a woman.
First with your mama. No one, watch this, has ever called me.
Chester is unique.
Chester is a lost and forgotten kingdom.
Chester is potential.
Hi, I'm Kieran Warren. Chester is my home. And it has been for generations. I grew up in the Ruth L. Bennett Homes neighborhood with my mother, Reverend Bernice Warren, who taught me the values of a true Chester leader: respect, dignity, and most of all, truth. I'm running for Chester City Council to continue my mother's legacy and to restore our city's leadership to these values. The mayor's treatment of
Hi neighbors, I'd like to take this moment to formally introduce myself. My name is Connor Mulvaney. I'm a lifelong Pittsburgher, and for the past 3 years, I've lived in Brookline with my partner Christine and our dog Lucy. I've worked as a photojournalist, a collegiate cross-country coach, a retail specialist, a sustainability consultant, and am currently a union baker. I'm also active in mobility advocacy in Pittsburgh's southern neighborhoods, regional economic development nonprofits, as well as our local Green Party. And now I am announcing my intent to run for Pittsburgh City Council. Why? Because I am alarmed that the systemic injustices in our city are only worsening. Because our rivers are still unsafe to swim in, our air is still unsafe to breathe. Because our mayor and city council members are advocating the defunding of critical public services during a pandemic and economic depression. Because the very design of our city creates barriers to necessities and services for those who don't own personal vehicles. That's 1 in 5 of all Pittsburghers. We can change our city for the better, but we must recognize the problems in Pittsburgh's past and present if we are to make a brighter future. Our city government is controlled by a single political party that has been dominant for nearly 90 years and has always been controlled by the wealthiest in our city. Unopposed candidates in general elections are frequent, and the acceptance of large campaign donations from big businesses and political insiders is rampant. This is not a healthy democracy. It's no wonder our city was ill-prepared to address the crises of injustice, public health, and climate change that we now face, when it is still led by an unethical political class that glides through election after election. But we can join together against these forces seeking to further divide us. We can make our city livable for all our neighbors, regardless of economic status, race, religion, sex, or gender identity. We can get there together.
Hey, Green Party friends. This is Craig Cayetano. I'm running again this year for Hawthorne Town Council. This time it's not for just Ward 3, it's for the whole town at large. There are 7 candidates vying for 3 seats. We've been out and about in the town today at our classic car show outside our farmers market. So just wanted to report in, let you know that we are still working on local issues. We're able to reuse a lot of our materials from the last race, while we also on October 23rd through the 31st. And then, of course, we'll be out strong on Election Day. So the season has begun. So I hope that I can earn your support again as you're here in New Jersey. And if you have any questions, please check us out on Facebook at Cayetano for Council, also at Green for Hawthorne on Twitter, and Cayetano for Council on Instagram. We have a website with a big platform. Now we're up to 30 points on a platform for town council race. So we do bring real ideas, fresh ideas to the community. And I hope Greens out there see this, support us, donate whatever they can. And hopefully you'll have the drive to run for office in your town next year. Thanks again. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all of my fellow Greens, I am K.A. Hurd Jr., running for the 2021 Cincinnati City Council. I'm running to bring unity to our city. I'm running to bridge the divide between our neighborhoods, between our east and west. I am running to bring love and peace to our city. I will push for grassroots democracy to make sure that we are engaged. We notify our residents, our voters, our homeowners, our taxpayers about different projects, development, crime, and everything that is very important to their community. We have 52 communities right here in Cincinnati, and all of them matters to me. Here's our website. Our website is stayheardcommittee.wibbly.com, where you can find so much about me. You can see how I stand on different issues. You can contribute and or you can volunteer. And also, if you know anybody else that may be in Cincinnati or would like to contribute, volunteer in any way, please feel free to share our website. Once again, it's stayheardcommittee.wibbly.com. I am K.A. Hurd Jr., running for the 2021 Cincinnati City Council, where I am committed to making sure any and everybody that wants to be heard, and once heard, stay heard. And I approve that message.